right thing the wrong way, will Yahweh still honor it and use it? Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah, day number 5 of the Torah portion, Toldot, again, meaning generations. And we're talking about the generations of Yitzhak, or Isaac, as we see the drama of the story of the two brothers Esau and Yaakov, Esau and Jacob, take place. And they're contrasted as to two different priesthoods, two different ways of going about walking before Yah. So go to Bereshit, or Genesis, chapter number 27, begin reading with verse number 1. And it came to be when Yitzhak was old and his eyes were too dim to see, that he called Esau, his elder son, and said to him, "My son," and he answered him, "Here I am." And he said, "See, now I am old, I do not know the day of my death. Now please take your weapons, your quiver, your bow, and go out into the field and hunt wild game for me, and make me a tasty dish such as I love. Bring it to me to eat, in order that my being does bless you before I die." Rebekah overheard these words, grew gravely concerned, and ran and found Yaakov and said, "Bring me some goats, 2 kids of the goats. And I'm going to make a dish for your father, and you're going to go in and let him bless you." And in verse number 11, Yaakov said to Rivkah, his mother, "See, Esau, my brother, is a hairy man, and I'm a smooth-skinned man. What if my father touches me? Then I shall be like a deceiver in his eyes, and shall bring a curse on myself and not a blessing." But his mother said to him, "Let your curse be on me, my son. Only obey my voice and go and get them for me." So we see this drama unfold where Yaakov gets the 2 kids of the goats. Rivkah makes the dish. She makes it a savory, spicy dish like Yitzhak loves. She takes the skin of the goats, puts it on the nape of his neck and the back of his hands and forearms, sends him in. He deceives his father Yitzhak into believing that he is Yaakov, receives this blessing, and then Esau comes right in and finds out that someone has tricked him, so it would seem, out of what he thought belonged to him. Now let's break all of this down, and what is it saying to us? Rashi goes into a great deal of mathematical twists and turns, and his commentary to suggest that Yitzhak is 123 years old at this time. So if he is 123, this means then that Yaakov is about 63. Remember, Yitzhak was 60 years old when his sons were born. So this would make Yaakov not a child, not even a teenager or a young man, but 63 years of age. Now, Yitzhak says, "I'm ready to die. I'm thinking of going to die." Actually, if he was 123 years old, and when you read Rashi's commentary, he's got some points. He's got some ideas to consider there. If all of that is true, then Yitzhak lived another 57 years. The problem was his eyesight had gone bad. When you lose your vision, we talked about this yesterday, when you lose your vision, you lose sometimes your sense of spiritual stability. I'm not talking about your physical vision here. I'm talking about your spiritual vision. Remember that after the conquest, the Eliyahu, the prophet Elijah, experienced at Mount Carmel. He ends up under a tree praying to die. He goes into a state of depression after a great victory. King David, when he was on his deathbed, he almost allowed the wrong son to take the throne. It was very, very close. when we get depressed, when we get down, when we're feeling defeated and discouraged, that's not the time to be making great life decisions. We need to make our decisions based on victory, not defeat. So Esau, while he's out hunting, Yaakov goes through these steps that his mother organizes for him, orchestrates for him. He goes in, and the deception is made. One could ask the question here, was Rivkah acting for what we would call the greater good? A lot of things have been justified and claimed to be a step in a righteous direction because, well, they were for the greater good. Let's consider that. If Esau had received this blessing, the blessing in particular here is the Bekorah. We would transliterate that Bechora, the Bekorah. The Bekorah is the blessing, the double portion blessing that belongs to the eldest son. It is the family headship. It authorizes one to operate then in family leadership, not only in the physical realm, but in the spiritual realm. So it designates one as operating in a spiritual leadership role. Maybe we could define that then as priesthood. When you read the book of Malachi, and we mentioned this earlier on in the week, Yah says, Esau I have hated. What does Yaakov and Esau have to do with the book of Malachi that talks about an ineffectual Levitical priesthood? The priesthood that calls it a drudgery to serve the Most High. A priesthood that is willing to go through the motions and not have the heart involved is indicative of the heart and nature of Esau, who is willing to go through the motions to get the blessing. But he tends to forget here, I've already sold out my birthright. I gave my firstborn status to my younger brother, Yaakov, for a bowl of soup or lentils. Perhaps he's forgotten that. Remember, that would have probably happened when they were about 15. So that's some number of years ago, close to 50 years ago. Again, if that timeline is correct. So Esau is fully expecting to get this Bekorah and receive the family priesthood. What happens when an Esau is in spiritual leadership? The people are not benefited. The people are oppressed. They walk in deception. And such it is then when professional religious people are in righteous or religious leadership. The people are oppressed. We're not getting anywhere. I've been under some of that leadership. I worked for someone on staff that was an Esau. And it is oppressive. It is dominating. It is controlling. And there is the sham that is going on, the facade, but no life. But can we act for the greater good to get a righteous deed accomplished? Yaakov got the blessing, and he was the right one to get the blessing. But if you're going to act for the greater good, you've got to be prepared to deal with the consequences. Because it put Yaakov in a place where he could not stay at home. He had to run for his life. He entered into a time of great trial, tribulation, refining, and testing. He came out a better man. But man, what a powerful season of hardship and pain and endurance that he had to go through. Rivkah says, your curse be upon me. We don't hear from her anymore. Did she die as a result of pursuing the greater good? Be careful how you use that. Let's do righteousness righteously. Couple thoughts. Number one, Shabbat Shalom to you and all of your family. And number two, just want to mention to you that we had a glorious, awesome Sukkot. Thank you for the couple of weeks off. I pray that you have enjoyed this week's restoration of 10-Minute Torah. And we'll see you again next week. Until then, Shalom.